Oh, for the love of God.
Just forget it.
Marcia, go away.
Just forget it.
Go away.
No. Yes.
If you don't wear a mask, you have to clean the microphone before you speak it. If nobody touches it.
We might as well
She's
even-
saying that we'd have to clean the plexiglass.
No,
or
the microphone.
microphone. I don't know.
Microphone, we're supposed to have a cover.
Bravo, boy.
You might as well move that.
You're in the right place. It's our first time.
How long have we been doing this?
How long y'all been on board?
Every time. It's our first time. It was the open seat. I just sat down.
Oh. Okay, is everybody?
Touch that.
Good evening. I just want to welcome everybody. I'm going to try to fix this. To the October board meeting. I don't know about you. I think I said this last time too, that I didn't know what day or what of the week or month or even what month it was. But it's exciting to see more of you out there out tonight and just getting closer and closer to, is back to normal as we possibly can in these times. Is it Katrina? Katrina, do you mind coming up and saying the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Katrina, if you'll go back for just a second and let us vote on a couple of things, and then we'll bring you back up here. Thank you. Board, y'all have had the agenda for a couple of days. Is there anything that needs to be added or any corrections?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
A motion by Mr. Hutchinson, a second by Mrs. Creek. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion to accept the agenda as presented has passed. And on the consent. Can I just talk loud? No. Their minds. You should be picked up by the others. Okay, great. I love not having one. The items on the consent agenda tonight are out-of-district transfers, September 2020 financial statements, Act 1120 list and resolution, and school board minutes for September. Are there any changes or anything that needs to be addressed to the consent agenda?
I make a motion that we accept the items as presented.
Second.
A motion from Mrs. Creek, a second from
Mr. Emerson.
Mr. Emerson, to accept the consent agenda as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And Dr. Cleveland.
Thank you, Ms. Cook. School Board, Ms. Katrina, would you mind to stand up and come to the front again? This is Ms. Katrina Parkhurst from Archer Learning Center. Her parents have joined her tonight, Brooke and Tony Holterman, is that correct? Nice to meet you. Glad you're here. Ms. Parkhurst, the microphone is yours.
Okay, so I came here from Louisiana. I had lived with my parents. I went to school. I was out of school since February, thinking about getting a GED when they showed me a school called Archer. They had taken me in, and so I came to this school, and so far it's been really helpful. I've got up to 17 credits now, and soon, by December, I should have 19, and hopefully throughout the rest of the year, I will have 24. So I'll be able to walk in May. And There has been some teachers, they've been pushing me. I get frustrated. My teacher, Mr. Nichols, for math. I struggle in math a lot, but he does help me and tells me to take notes, so I take as much notes as I can through every class. Same with my advisory teacher. She has been pushing me and helping me look at colleges to go to, so I have looked at NWAC and Crowder College, just going through options that I have there. I would like to, after I graduate, I would like to go to a 2-year community college and a 4-year university studying animal biology, because I would like to become a zoologist if that does not work, a zookeeper if that does not work, then a veterinarian, or anything in general with animals, because I love animals. And that's what I have planned out so far.
That's exciting. We're glad that you're here, and we're glad that you've had an amazing experience at Archer and have such a clear, I rarely know sometimes what I'm going to do tomorrow too, much less, you know, a good plan for the future. And board, does anyone have any questions?
How long did you say you've been in Arkansas?
Oh, I moved here in late July of this year.
Late July of this year.
Yes, sir.
Do you like Arkansas?
It is very pretty. I love it. It's like everyone around here is nice. Like, I don't know. I just love it here. It's nice. Nothing like Louisiana, Arizona.
We don't have hurricanes.
No, sir, not here. just storms, small ones though.
So far.
Yes.
What's been your favorite thing about Archer?
My favorite thing about Archer is I like how the teachers are able to put up with the students as well as actually helping them at the same time.
That's great.
It's a good answer.
That's how I think of it. The teachers keep it under control as much as they can while helping other students at the same time, which is something I like, because sometimes at my old schools I couldn't even get the teacher's attention to help me with work. So it's really interesting at this school. I like it.
That's awesome.
What's your favorite class at Archer right now?
I would say my favorite class is journalism, because I love talking to people. I mean, it's hard during COVID because I'm a very socialized person. I like to talk to people a lot, and being able to interview people is very fun for me since I enjoy talking and meeting new people. So I would say journalism as of right now.
Good job.
Any other questions?
No, we're glad you're here.
Yep,
Great
absolutely.
addition to Springdale.
Thank you.
You did great. Good job.
Oh, do I stay over here?
No.
You can stay all evening if you like. It's really great to have
We'll
you
be here
here.
till 10.
Great job, Ms. Parkhurst. Thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Holterman. Next, Ms. Cook, as you know, we've had some tremendous academic accomplishments that have come our way for our students this year. Right now, we have a link to your school board agenda for the National Merit semifinalists. I believe we have on our slide deck a list of those. Ms. Tischer, is she here? Okay, she's going to introduce, I guess Mr. Fontopoulos is going to come. I thought Ms. Tischer may introduce him, but that's fine. Everyone knows Mike, and if you don't know Mike, look for the gold convertible Mercedes that runs around.
That's really.
Even in like 20-degree weather, he'll be driving that with the top down, so.
It's okay. Don't judge. Hello, school board. Hi, Ms. Smalling. Hi, Dr. Cleveland. Thank you for that introduction. So I wanted to chat with you a little bit about our national merits and what that really, maybe start off with maybe a little bit of a boring talk of what all that means, and then get into the exciting stuff of who these kids are and what they've accomplished. And I think you're going to find probably the thing that I keep coming back to with all these kids is diversity. A lot of diversity here with these kids. They're really cool. The PSAT stands for the Preliminary National Merit Scholarship Qualifying Test. And so what that is when you take that test your junior year, you're qualifying to become a National Merit semifinalist. Tomorrow, throughout our district, we're going to have all of our sophomores take that test, who have signed up for it, which is the vast majority of them. And then we use that data to figure out who it is, people like me, counselors, some of our instructional facilitators and coaches throughout our district need to chat with to see, to try to push those kids even more. And it becomes kind of, I guess you could say, real when they're juniors. And when they take that test their junior year and they wind up in the top 0.5% here in the state of Arkansas, those are the students that are then picked to become a National Merit semifinalist. And that's what you have here today. What we want to do now is move these kids along into the National Merit finalists and go from semifinalists to finalists, which is, of course, just untold scholarship dollars for a lot of these students. So it's a myriad of things that they have to go through, and there's a list there in front of you, and I don't want to read all that off to you. But the big one that I do want to describe is they don't have to take the ACT or the SAT like they normally would. In normal years, what you would have to do is take that SAT test to try to mimic what you did your junior year so that you're not kind of, that you had just a great day. But you have to take it again. And this time you take the full-blown SAT. Or you can use an old ACT test score as well. This year, they're not going to make you do that. This year, because of COVID and the tricks that keep on coming because of COVID, they've come to the conclusion, the College Board has, that they don't need what happened there. Did I do something? Did I move that? Did I push something? There you go. Cool. I touched something and something happened. But because of COVID, they've run out of, or what they feel, they've run out of proctors. And so with that, they're going to let them kind of go away from that. So now all they really need to do is kind of just that pesky stuff of going through the process, having their principals go ahead and just sign off and say that they like them and that they're going to try and actually graduate high school, which of course all these kids are, and all these kids are going to pursue a college career and things of that nature. It's not that it's simple, but it's made a little bit, you can breathe a little bit more because you don't have to go back and take that test again. So with that said, right off the bat, here's Jackson Alley. I want to tell you about Jax. Jax wants to study immigration law someday. Jax is, he wants to apply to Vanderbilt, Duke, Michigan, some of those kinds of schools, but he got involved in the immigration ideas by going to the Arkansas United Immigrant Resource Center. And he was involved in the student forum as a team member there. He's also, he's got the seal of biliteracy in Spanish, French, and German. And so he wants to probably pursue something in the world of the language arts as well. More than likely, he feels like he's probably going to wind up in law school somewhere to facilitate that immigration law that he wants to do. Jax and his support comes from his parents. And I'm sure you all know them, Amy and Kevin Nally. And he went to Young, Hellstern, Central Junior High School, and today he's at Harbor High School. And so do I hit this to go to the next? You do. Awesome. This is Trey Bauerman. Trey Bauerman is a little known fact about Trey is he's neighbors to John Stewart, one of the best teachers that I know. So that might have rubbed off on him as they're cutting grass out there. But Trey is a really neat kid. He is also one that's got a little bit of an attorney moment in his future, he thinks, because of the mock trial that he's involved in at Harbor High School. He's also a math, as he says, a math nerd, and that's what he really probably wants to be, is a math teacher. I think it'd be awesome if Springdale Public Schools could get him back someday as a math teacher. He's also got a huge interest, excuse me, he's got a huge interest in music, wants to play bass for a band someday. So he's that. Again, you're going to keep seeing this idea of diversity with these kids. And of course, his parents are Mitch and Trina Bauerman. Great folks, great family. And here is Pedro Manon. Y'all know him because you knew his older brother from 2 years ago. That's Pablo Manon. And Pablo was a National Merit finalist. And here's his younger brother, who's going to try and live up to that as they punch each other in the arm. But Pedro he's an exciting. Where did I put my notes on Pedro? I'm all over the place. Pedro, there you go. Pedro is wanting to go to MIT. That's right. He's a computer science kid, and he wants to try and Also get involved in that. He especially likes the MIT, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, because he feels like that's the best one for him. And he kind of reminds me like of Sojus. If y'all remember Sojus from a few years ago, Sojus went on to Brown, and of course Sojus is in the medical world. But if you don't know, Sojus is also an actor. Pedro wants to be a stand-up comedian someday. So again, here comes that diversity of these kids. He's got a social outlet there, and of course, his parents are awesome, Susie and Andre Manon. So Pedro went to Hunt, Hellstern, Central, and Harbor. This is Noah Livingston. Noah's got a service-oriented heart. Love Noah. Noah is a football player. He's a basketball player. He's a scholar. He went to Young, Hellstern, Central, and he's at Harbor. He wants to be at West Point someday. He wants to be at West Point or maybe the Air Force Academy, and he's got a passion for information technology with one of those. And above all that, if you can believe it, he wants to be an Army Ranger. He really does. That's a passion of his, along with his scholarly. Here's his academic abilities. He's quite physical. And again, when you talk to his coaches, he's just a team leader. Leads by examples. And Jamie and Sean Livingston are his parents. Great folks. This is Kaylee Gough. I've known Kaylee Gough for quite some time, and she's a great young lady. She wants to study neuroscience, probably at Baylor. That's where she's going to probably wind up. She wants to maybe either get involved in research or be a clinician. And of course, Kaylee's parents are Mike and Anna, and of course Anna Gough is a teacher, second grade teacher at Hunt Elementary, where Kaylee went, where she also went to Hellstern Central and Harbor. And this is John Patrick Kingston. And John Patrick Kingston is into intelligence. He's into diplomacy, East Asian studies, so he thinks, in the future. And I wouldn't doubt him. A master's in contemporary Chinese politics is where he thinks he might wind up sometime in the future. And also, for extra credit, can someone tell me what slacklining is? Because that's what he's into. Do you know what slacklining is?
Put the line between the two trees and walk.
That's precisely right. So that's what he's into, that and unicycling. So these kids they're all over the place. Their interests and and again, that's a form of meditation for him, I'm sure. And they're just neat as they can be. And of course, he receives a lot of support from his mother, Brenda, and his father, John. This is Colin. And I think Colin was my first one that I had on my list. Yeah, Colin Thompson. And she's pre-med. She wants to go to the U of A. She's looking at other schools, but she probably thinks she's going to wind up at the U of A. Also, during college, she might want to do, say, an internship abroad, so she thinks. She is most interested in chemistry and global health. She gets a lot of wonderful support from her grandmother. And her grandmother is Glee Thompson, and she's a lifelong learner herself, a retired teacher. Colin was at Shaw Elementary, Hellstern Middle School, Central Junior High School, and Harbor. And that is all of our national merit semifinalists this year, and hopefully we can turn those guys, and they certainly should, because they always have in the past, turn those guys into national merit finalists. And we'll know that, we should know that probably about August of next year. Okay? Any questions?
Maybe we'll be able to have them here in person when they're national merit finalists as things develop.
It's kind of tough too, because these are the same kind of kids that get global real quick. They're kind of gone at that time. But if we can learn something ahead of time, or if we can take these masks off ahead of time, and maybe we can bring them back a little bit. Yeah, just exactly what you said. Yeah.
Thank you, Mike.
Okay.
Appreciate it so much.
Thank you, guys.
Ms. Cook, I'd like to introduce Coach Stellick. he has some really good news tonight about our golf team. He may even have some things to tell us about the tennis team. It's done some good things today.
We spread out here, actually, I'm not sure. It's always fun to celebrate championships. And we start off the 2020-21 academic year in AAA by the Harbor Girls Golf Team winning the 6A state championship. So here to talk about the success is Coach Ains and Senior Captain Abby Ott. Make sure to show that trophy too.
Okay. Well, I'm not sure which way to put it.
So let Abby
Let her
hold
hold
it.
it. There you go. It's pretty heavy.
I don't think she minds holding it.
Okay. I'll put that down so I can talk.
Good job.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank the school board for inviting us to come and speak today. We're very proud of the success this year's team has had. It's been a long time coming. It's our first conference championship, and obviously our first state championship with any of our golf teams. With our girls golf, this is my 13th year, and pretty much every year until about the last three, actually till about Abby's junior year or sophomore year, we basically would have one very good golfer that was serious about it and would play it year-round and play in some AJGA tournaments and make that investment in time and money to do that. And then I would just try to find two or three others that hopefully could break 100 and just give us a decent team score. And so that's pretty much, we've been in there about 4th or 5th in the conference, pretty much every year, and, maybe 7th or 8th in the state. Abby's freshman year, she came to us as a basketball player. She played basketball. I think it was her 9th grade year at Central. She decided to really start focusing on golf and was a very good player even as a freshman. After that year, our team that year, we had a couple of pretty decent seniors, and we had a pretty good year at state. We kind of fell back and I think finished 7th, 4th in the conference. So kind of just a normal year for us. Abby decided to really start focusing on golf and started making those tours and spending time and getting lessons and that kind of stuff. And immediately it started to pay off. And for her, she dropped probably about 10, 12 strokes probably from her freshman year to her sophomore year. And was shooting in the mid-80s, pretty regular. That year we also had an influx of freshmen. We had a girl that was a volleyball player, another girl that was a basketball player. We had a girl that had been a gymnast up until her 8th grade year that came out. And for once we had girls that were not only interested in golf, but they were athletes as well. And they really took to it. And, that year we moved up and finished 5th in the state. And I think 3rd in our conference. That following year, last year, we really took a big step up, and we were actually undefeated up until I think our last regular season match. We'd beaten Bentonville, I think 3 times. We'd beaten Fayetteville, I think 3 times. Last match, they both beat us by a couple of strokes. And then at state, they unfortunately beat us there as well, so we finished 3rd in our conference. Abby and Grace, we had 2 that made All-State. That's the first time we'd ever had that happen. But we felt well. Then going into this year, we felt like we could have won it all last year. We had an unfortunate thing happen our first day of state. Had a girl DQ'd for playing a wrong ball and not applying the rule. I don't want to get into that, but anyway, it cost us probably 10 or 12 strokes, and we finished about that far back. So we really felt like we deserved to win it. And this year, these girls really dedicated themselves, played a lot this summer, been very dedicated, like I said. And then going in, we have not lost. We didn't lose a match at all. And I was trying to put paper to it without going real in depth. We probably were about 70-0 as far as how many teams we beat, because we played 5 matches where there are 8 to 10 teams there, and we won all of those. We played 5 more matches where there was 2 or 3 other teams there, and then, of course, at the state tournament, there's 16 teams competing there, and nobody ever finished ahead of us. So, you know, it was an exceptional year, and really a couple of my better players would also miss several, you know, a lot of those wins came with 1 or sometimes 2 of our top 4 girls not there. And so that's a testament to the depth we had. People that was our number 4 or 5 player, or sometimes even our number 6, would step up and would be counting their scores. So, you know, it wasn't a 2 or 3 man team. It was a, you know, truly 6 or 7 deep with good quality players. Matter of fact, my number 7 this year would probably be my number 2 girl on any other of the golf teams that we've had. So a couple of things about Abby, and then this year, let me finish that. Abby repeated as an all-conference and all-state performer, along with Grace Gilcrease, who's also a 2-year all-state, all-conference performer. And then we had a freshman, Charlie Horton, stepped up and made all-conference and all-state. So we had actually 3 all-state players, 3 all-conference players off this team. Just a couple of things about Abby. She's one of those that is a leader by example. She's not a rah-rah, get everybody together and give them big speeches and that kind of stuff. But, you know, players pay attention and they see what other people do. And Abby's one of those players that's always doing the right thing. She's going to stay and get a little extra putting. We're going to stay and go to the range, you know, sometimes after a match even. And they see how she conducts herself. And so she's been a great leader by example, and these younger girls have really learned from her and been inspired by her, I think. And I don't know if you read the paper, it was in the Little Rock paper after we won state, but it was also, I think, Rick Fires wrote a local article, and Abby was the girl he was talking about that after our first round of state, we'd won our conference. Abby was disappointed. She shot, you know, in the low 80s instead of, you know, mid-70s like she'd been shooting all year. And we were going to eat. We were feeling pretty good. We'd won conference. We had a 14-stroke lead, you know, going into day 2. And we were going to eat some steak at Texas Roadhouse. Abby said, I got a text, I'm not going to go, I wasn't hitting it very good, I'm going back to the range. So we went and had steak. Abby went back to the driving range and had a great round going. Ended up with an 82 that second day, but she was really on track to shoot a mid-70. Had a couple of tough holes right at the end when the wind really picked up. But anyway, that's the kind of player she is and the kind of example she's been. And I'm expecting to see her playing somewhere in college next year, and we are really going to miss having her and her leadership and her dedication. Her parents are here tonight, Ty and Marla Ott, and they can attest to how much Abby's put in, not only the lessons, but also when you talk about going to play in a tournament, you're going to Tulsa, or you're going to somewhere in Texas, or you're going to somewhere in Mississippi, or you've been to Florida. You know, places like that, she's going to play. That means somebody's paying for hotel rooms, and somebody's paying for meals, and somebody's paying for entry fees. And when you multiply that by probably 10, 15 times a year, that runs into a lot of investment, not only in money, but also in the time. So anyway, we've got a lot of parents on this girls team that are like that are making that investment in their kids. And so I just wanted to acknowledge that and how much we appreciate it and how much it's paid off for us. Okay? Abby? I don't know if you had any questions before she speaks, or let her talk, and then do you have any for either of us?
I just wanted to say, my name is Abby Ott, and I'm here to represent the Harbor Lady Wildcats golf team. As the only senior on this team, it made me more determined than ever to be there in every single match for my teammates. And due to the fact that this was my last year, I didn't want to miss any opportunity to play for our school, Harbor High School. I was honestly worried that my senior golf season might be canceled due to COVID-19 and CDC guidelines, but with a prayer, that didn't happen. I only missed one match this year, which was at the Creeks, and I missed that match because I had played 18 holes of golf 4 days in a row. I was tired and I needed a break. Golf is very much a mental game, and you have to be sharp on every single shot or you can get yourself into trouble quickly. You have to forget about the bad shot immediately and concentrate on your next one, because every shot counts. My goal for my senior year was to win state as well as our 6A West Conference. It was an honor to represent Harbor with some of the most remarkable, competitive, skilled, and fun teammates I've ever had the opportunity to play with. But I know without a doubt they will be back stronger than ever in 2021 to defend their title. Winning Harbor High School's first girls golf state title in their 15-year school history of the girls golf program was the most amazing accomplishment I could have ever dreamed of with this unique group of teammates. As our golf coach, Tim Age, stated, if you make a mistake, there's going to be someone else there to pick you up. That's been the dynamic of our team throughout the entire year. However, there's also been a healthy competition between us as well, and when you play against great competitors, you only get better. Every girl on our team has strengths and weaknesses, but we seem to balance one another really well. I'm also truly thankful for the coaching leadership demonstrated by Coach Ains. I've been with Coach Ains for the past 4 years, and he's always been kind, encouraging, and supportive no matter how I've played. I'd like to think that this year's winning season could be dedicated to the memory of Coach Ains' sister, Terry Thone, who had lost battle with COVID shortly after the season began. I will always cherish the long road we had traveled to put Harbor Lady Wildcat Golf on the map of Springdale School sports achievements.
That's awesome.
Are there any questions that anybody would like to address to either of us?
Abby, how did you get into golf?
My dad actually brought me into it. He started, like, maybe whenever I was about 8, he started taking me out on the range with him, and before, like, the first tee or anything was built, we would always go up to Stonebridge Meadows. He'd let me hit some golf balls. Sometimes I'd, like, start messing around with geese or something. And then I eventually kind of got into it and was like, hey, this is actually kind of fun. I mean, well, minus the irritating stuff, like, say I hit it in the trees, and then I hit another tree, and so forth. But just, I mean, I started getting into it more and more, and ever since I started taking lessons, like, 2 or 3 years ago, and I've gotten better, it's just become a lot more fun over the years.
Do you have any ideas on schools?
I've gotten offers from, like, Tech, Missouri Southern State. There's one, Southeastern College in Tennessee. Gotten one from Drury that I'm particularly interested in, especially because I know the coach, Coach C.J. Wolf, because she worked up at the first tee, and I was on the junior advisory council for a few years, and I worked with her, and she was super, super nice and
Awesome.
very cooperative.
Awesome.
That's great. That's great. Who did you say you were gonna dedicate next season to?
No, the championship.
This
The championship?
Coach Age's sister who had passed away.
Your
I have a younger sister, 4 years younger than me, retired after 33 years as an elementary teacher in Dardanelle in May.
Terry Thone?
Terry Thone.
Yeah, I'm from Russellville, Dardanelle, and my wife taught with Terry
Okay.
when we were in Dardanelle.
She retired in May and then contacted COVID in July. And
That's a great gesture.
had passed away in August, about 3 weeks on the ventilator, and it just annihilated the lungs. So that's something we kind of went through. I had to miss one match. Our volunteer coach, Coach Pauls, took over and did that match. These girls never missed a beat.
say plexiglass. Thank you. Sorry, I couldn't see Abby very well through the glare.
Okay, I'd like to invite Miss Christie Norwood to come forward. Miss Norwood's been on the news lately. She's had several little articles written, and she's had a local congressman show up to visit with her, so, and several of you as well. I'd like to introduce Miss Christie Norwood.
Good evening, and thank you for having me. I will say being on the news and in the spotlight is not my thing, so I've gotten better at it over the last week or so since we got the award. But it's an honor to be the principal receiving the award, even though I was not there when all of the work was done to get the award. But the leadership at the school, starting with Sherry Bells and then Miss Flora, under Dr. Rollins, and then now me and Jerry Cleveland, definitely shows all the things that they've done over the years. I told a story when we had Congressman Womack there. One of my first meetings with Miss Flora after we were changing over the job, she said to me, there's a big surprise, and I haven't been able to tell anybody, but I'm going to tell you now. And so she told me, I think we're going to get the Blue Ribbon Award based on the application, and they've asked me some more questions. So I immediately went home and looked up exactly what that was, because I knew about it, I just didn't know any details. And I think the definition that I found fits the school perfect. It said the award affirms the hard work of students, educators, families, and communities in creating safe and welcoming schools where students master challenging and engaging content. And that is what I've already seen in my time at Young. There were 2 National Merit semifinalists that were listed tonight that went to Young, and I think, they would say some of the same things. Even in the land of COVID, I've seen teachers finding unique ways to challenge kids, to do remediation for students that need that. I've seen teachers working together in professional learning communities to really look at data, what did students maybe miss during that time of COVID, and what we're going to do about it to get them caught up, or those that did still learn it over COVID, what we're going to do to keep extending their learning so that they're not having to relearn something that they had already learned. And the school is in the top 10% for high achievement in Arkansas, and I think, that's part of the award too, just keeping up that high achievement. And we've already talked about how we're going to do that, adding some more project-based things, some more innovative things into the school, and just really digging deep into those standards about what the kids need, and whether it's something they haven't achieved or they've already achieved and need to move higher. So I'm excited to serve there and hope to continue everything that's happened at these past 20 years. It is the 20th year, perfect time for the award, and for 20 more. Any questions?
Congratulations.
Great.
Thank you. They're getting his pencil all, they're like, that's not how we do it. And he's like, well, this is how I do it, And so they were talking about different strategies to solve the fraction problem they were doing. So that was neat. He handed out so many of his little coins, they'll never forget. So
Those 3 speakers that you had speak did an amazing job.
they did really good.
Yeah.
At first, I was a little nervous about a couple, but
Yeah,
they
they did really good.
really did well.
Yep.